You're no longer part of this family, Kaylee. Pack your things and get out. Those were my father's last words before the board meeting began. My sister, Tessa, stood behind him with that smug smile, the same one she used to wear when she broke my toys as a kid. I remember the cold conference room air, the smell of burnt coffee, and the way every eye in the room turned away from me. They all believed I'd lost the company $500,000 in one bad deal. I tried to explain that I didn't authorize those transfers, that something was off. But no one listened. When I walked out that door, I promised myself one thing. I'd uncover the truth, even if it meant tearing down everything they thought they owned. And the thing I found, it didn't just save me, it destroyed them. When I replay that day in my head, it still feels unreal, like a nightmare that forgot to end. The glass boardroom shimmered under the morning light. I sat across from my father, Mr. Harlan Reeves, founder of Reeves and Company, the family empire I'd spent 10 years helping him build. Across from me sat my sister, Tessa, in her designer blazer, lips painted the color of blood. She looked calm. Come. Dad slammed a folder on the table. $500,000, Kaylee. Because of your decision. I felt everyone's eyes burn into me. The board members, the legal advisor, even the accountant who once used to smile at me every morning. My throat closed. I didn't authorize that transfer, I whispered. I've been saying this all week. Tessa's voice cut through mine, sharp and fake sweet. Oh please, Kay. The proof's right there. Your signature. Your login ID. Just admit you made a bad investment. Her tone wasn't angry, it was satisfied. Like she'd been waiting for this moment. Dad's face hardened. You've embarrassed this family. Effective immediately, you're suspended. We'll handle damage control without you. I remember standing up, the chair scraping loudly behind me. Dad, please at least let me explain. Something's wrong with those documents. It's not me. He didn't even look at me. You've done enough. That's when I realized this wasn't just about money. It was about control. They wanted me out. When I walked out of that office, the lobby felt heavier than ever. People I'd mentored couldn't meet my eyes. The company name glowed above the elevator, Reeves and Company, a name that suddenly felt like it didn't belong to me anymore. Outside, I sat in my car, staring at the glass building until tears blurred it into nothing. I wanted to scream, to drive back and demand proof, but deep inside I knew someone had planned this. Carefully. By nightfall, my access card stopped working. My company email was disabled. And when I tried calling my father again, his assistant told me he was unavailable indefinitely. I spent the next 3 days in my apartment, going over old project files, transaction lists, client notes, searching for something that didn't add up. I was so consumed that I didn't even notice my phone vibrating until it nearly fell off the desk. It was a message from an unknown number. No name. Just one line. You didn't lose that money. Check the ledger again. My heart stopped. I stared at the screen, fingers trembling, as the message vanished a second later. Deleted remotely. Someone was watching me. Someone who knew the truth. And that night, for the first time since I'd been thrown out, I felt a spark of something dangerous. Oh. The city looked different at night. Colder, quieter, like it knew secrets it wouldn't tell. I parked 2 blocks away from the Reeves and Company headquarters, my hands sweating on the steering wheel. It was 1:14 a.m. The building stood in eerie silence, the mirrored glass reflecting the streetlights like watchful eyes. I still had my old keycard. I didn't think it would work, but when I pressed it to the reader, the light blinked green. My stomach dropped. Someone hadn't deactivated it, on purpose or by mistake. The elevator hummed as it climbed to the 6th floor, the place I once called mine. Every ding echoed like a countdown. When the doors slid open, I was met by the faint smell of printer ink and lemon polish. Everything looked the same, except for the silence. My office light was still on. Froze. For a moment I thought someone was there. But when I stepped closer, I realized the light was from the computer monitor. Someone had logged in under my name. My pulse quickened as I sat down and opened the company ledger. Thousands of lines of numbers stared back at me. Transfers, invoices, vendor payments. I scrolled until my eyes blurred, trying to find something that felt off. Then I saw it. Count. Rivera Imports. Transfer amount. $512,000. Authorized by K. Reeves. But here's the thing. I'd never heard of Rivera Imports. And when I clicked the Details tab, I found an attached signature. My name, scrawled in perfect imitation. Perfect. Except for one thing. The K in Kaylee had a tiny loop at the end. Something I'd stopped doing 5 years ago. My chest tightened. Whoever forged this was copying from old records. Someone close enough to know my handwriting, but careless enough to use outdated versions. Then I checked the metadata. The authorization came from an IP address inside the company. 2 floors above mine. Tessa's office. My heart pounded so hard it hurt. I printed the report, stuffed it in my bag, and was about to leave when I heard footsteps in the hallway. Low. And hurried. I ducked behind the desk, holding my breath. The door creaked open. A silhouette appeared, tall, confident. Essa. She walked in, heels clicking softly, humming under her breath. She stopped by the desk, picked up a pen, and whispered into the dark. You should have just taken the blame, Kay. Would have been easier for all of us. Then she left. My knees gave out the moment the door shut. She knew I'd been digging. Or worse, she wanted me to hear that. I clutched the paper printouts to my chest. This wasn't just a mistake. It was a setup. But why? Why would my own sister destroy me for something like this? And then I remembered. She once told me over dinner. Dad trusts me with everything now. You should find your own path. Maybe she wasn't just bragging. Maybe she was warning me. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Tessa's silhouette, her voice whispering. Would have been easier for all of us. By morning I'd made up my mind. If Dad wouldn't listen to my words, maybe he'd listen to proof. I drove straight to his mansion, the one with white marble pillars and a driveway lined with expensive cars that didn't match the emptiness inside that home. When he opened the door, he looked tired, older. But when he saw me, his eyes hardened. Kaylee, he said coldly, you shouldn't be here. I have evidence, I said quickly. Tessa forged my signature. Look at this. I placed the printouts on the table. He didn't even glance down. Enough of your stories. You embarrassed this family once. I won't let you do it again. Dad, I said softly, you're protecting the wrong person. That's when Tessa's voice drifted from the stairs. Kay, you're still chasing ghosts. It's sad, really. She came down wearing silk pajamas and a smile that could slice through steel. Dad, don't waste your time. He's obsessed. Maybe we should get her help. I wanted to scream. I wanted to shake her until the truth fell out. But instead I just stared, realizing something deeper. Dad didn't even look surprised. He already knew. I left before I said something I'd regret. Outside I sat in my car, the world spinning. If Tessa was brave enough to forge documents and taunt me, and Dad was covering for her. This wasn't just a lie, it was a system. That's when I got a message. It was from Logan Pierce, a name I hadn't heard in months. He used to be our senior accountant before he suddenly resigned last year. The text read, heard what happened. Meet me. It's bigger than you think. We met at a coffee shop near the docks. Quiet, low light, no cameras. He looked thinner, worn down. Kaylee, I knew this was coming, he said. I tried to warn you last year, but Tessa made sure you'd never hear it. He frowned. Warn me about what? He opened his laptop and turned it toward me. There it was. Hundreds of invoices, fake vendor names, ghost payments. All routed through shell accounts. I started noticing irregularities 2 years ago, he said. When I asked questions, your dad told me to let it go. A week later, Tessa had me removed. But I made copies before they wiped my access. My breath caught. You think they've been stealing from the company? He nodded. Millions, Kaylee. Slowly. quietly, using your name as a smokescreen. The world seemed to tilt sideways. I gripped the table. We can prove this. Yes, he said. But there's a risk. Someone inside the board is helping them. We'll need to go deep. Backups, encrypted drives, everything. I looked at him, heart pounding. Then we go deep. That night, we broke into the accounting archive, a cold, metallic basement beneath the office building. The hum of servers filled the air. As Logan typed, I scrolled through hidden folders labeled old audits and archived compliance. And there, tucked between years of data, was a folder named Project Raven. It required 2 passwords. Logan cracked one. The second one was Tessa's personal code. When we finally got in, what we saw made my blood run cold. Fake companies, offshore accounts, and a list of internal signatures, including mine. But the biggest shock. At the bottom of the file was a note written in my father's handwriting. Protect Tessa. Handle Kaylee quietly. I looked at Logan. He looked back horrified. They set you up from day one. I drove until my hands went numb. Every red light felt like an insult, every car horn like a scream trapped in my chest. Both of them plotting against me. I parked near the old marina, watching the waves crash against the pier. For years, I thought loyalty was the glue of family. Turns out it was just leverage. Logan sat beside me, scrolling through files. Look at this, he said. The account they funneled money into. It's tied to a company called Ardent Lux. Ever heard of it? I shook my head. He pulled up a document. Registered under a fake name. But the corporate address. He turned the screen. It was Tessa's boutique, the one Dad had called her passion project. So she used company funds to finance her business, I whispered. He nodded. And your father approved every transfer. Hollow laugh escaped me. They destroyed me to protect her. We spent hours tracing transactions, cross-referencing names. Then we found something worse. A second trust. Hidden under my father's legal holdings. The beneficiary wasn't Tessa. It was himself. Your mom's estate, Logan said slowly, was meant to be split evenly. But half her shares were reassigned. Blink. She's been dead for years. How can they reassign that? He hesitated. Forgery. Someone faked a signature. I pressed my hands against my temples. So they didn't just steal from me, they stole from her. I thought of Mom's soft voice, how she used to whisper, "Never let greed divide you, my girls." And now her words were a haunting echo. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Answered. Silence. Then Dad's voice. "I know what you're doing, Kaylee. Stop digging." My breath hitched. "You knew she stole from the company, and you let her." "Enough," he barked. "You don't understand what's at stake." "Then explain it." But he hung up. I stared at the dark screen. "He's protecting her at all costs." Logan frowned. "Or protecting himself." That night I couldn't sleep. My mind raced through every memory. Dad favoring Tessa, trusting her blindly, calling me too emotional for leadership. Maybe that was never about gender or skill. Maybe it was guilt. The next morning, the news broke. Reeves and Company suspends all investments pending internal audit. They were closing ranks, trying to erase evidence before it reached daylight. I looked at Logan. "We need to move faster." He nodded grimly. "Then we'll find where your mother's real will went." Rumors travel faster than truth, especially when the liars have money. By the end of the week, articles started circulating. Disgraced daughter spirals into delusion. Anonymous sources claimed I'd stolen funds, fabricated stories, even blackmailed employees. The sources. My father's PR team. I lost job offers. Friends stopped returning calls. Even my landlord gave me a polite notice. "Please vacate by Friday." They wanted me cornered. But the thing about being cornered is, it makes you stop running. Logan came over one night with a flash drive. "I found something." The old auditor, Daniel Shaw, remember him? He nodded. He'd been with us since before I joined. Then one day he just vanished. Logan connected the drive. He sent this to himself before disappearing. A video file opened. Grainy footage of Daniel speaking directly into the camera. If you're watching this, I didn't quit. I was silenced. The company's been laundering money through ghost accounts. The truth is in the vault. Restricted level. Then the screen went black. I exhaled shakily. He disappeared right after this. 2 days later, Logan said. His apartment was cleared out. Police called it voluntary relocation. I clenched my fists. He tried to expose them, and they erased him. I looked up. We're getting into that vault. We spent 2 nights planning. Logan secured a temporary access card through an old contact. We'd have a 5-minute window before security cycles reset. The night we broke in, the building hummed with electricity, like it could sense what we were about to do. We crept down the corridor, passing portraits of my father, each one smiling like a ghost watching its empire. Inside the vault room, servers blinked like stars. I typed Daniel's encryption key from the video. One folder appeared. Confidential audio files. Click. The first recording made my stomach twist. It was a board meeting, my father's voice. Kaylee's clean reputation makes her perfect. No one will suspect her. Then Tessa. If she finds out. She won't. Logan's hand tightened on my shoulder. We have enough to bury them. But before we could copy the files, a red light flashed overhead. Motion sensor triggered. The alarm shrieked through the air like a siren of betrayal. Grab the drive. Shouted. Logan yanked the USB and shoved it in his pocket as we sprinted toward the exit. Security boots thundered down the hallway. We slipped through a side door, barely avoiding flashlights slicing through the dark. Outside, rain poured, cold and relentless. We ducked behind a dumpster, gasping. You got it, I whispered. He nodded. All of it. We drove to an abandoned warehouse near the docks, soaked to the bone. Inside, Logan set up his laptop and began decrypting the files. One by one, the recordings played. Board calls, fake contracts, hidden payments. But one file stood out. Mother's audio. My blood ran cold. Play it, I said. The voice that came through was my mother's, soft, trembling. If anything happens to me, my shares and estate go to Kaylee. She built this company's heart. Tessa will understand, one day. Logan froze. She left everything to you. I nodded numbly. But the will we saw was fake, he finished. They replaced it. Tears blurred my vision. They hadn't just stolen my career. They'd stolen my birthright. I took a deep breath. We leak this. He hesitated. Kaylee, once we do, there's no going back. I don't care. They ended me already. As we uploaded the files to a secure journalist network, headlights flashed outside the warehouse. Logan peeked out. They found us. Go! I grabbed the drive and ran toward the back exit. Bullets of rain hit my face as we darted into the alley. Logan slipped, hitting the ground hard. I dragged him up, heart pounding. Almost there. We reached the car and sped off into the night, the city lights blurring behind us. By dawn, the journalist replied. Got the files. Confirming authenticity. This changes everything. I sat back, trembling. It's over, I whispered. Logan shook his head. No, Kaylee. It's just beginning. He was right. Because the moment the story broke, it wouldn't just clear my name. It would destroy theirs. The morning after we escaped the vault, the world felt eerily still. I sat by the motel window, the curtains half drawn, watching raindrops trace paths down the glass. Logan was asleep, his arm bandaged from the fall. My phone buzzed nonstop. Journalists, anonymous numbers, even old co-workers asking, is it true? But the one message that made me freeze was from Dad. You think you've won. You don't know the full story. Within hours, a storm hit the news. Revealed. Corporate fraud at Reeves and Company. The article featured my name, but this time as the whistleblower. Social media exploded. Tessa's boutique shut down overnight. Investors demanded statements. The company's stock crashed 40% in one day. Still, I couldn't celebrate. Something about Dad's message haunted me. That evening I got a call from a blocked number. I hesitated, then answered. It was his voice. Controlled. "Kaylee, meet me at the office. There's something you need to see before you destroy everything." I knew it could be a trap. But a part of me, the daughter who once believed he was my hero, still wanted answers. I went. The building was dim, the boardroom empty. Only Dad sat there, papers spread out before him. "Sit," he said quietly. I stayed standing. "Say what you need to say." He sighed. "You think I'm protecting Tessa out of favoritism? Well, I'm protecting the company from the truth." "What truth?" He slid a folder across the table. Inside were old letters, faded ink. My mother's handwriting. "Harlan, if anything happens, make sure Kaylee never sees this." I frowned. "What are you talking about?" He leaned forward. "Your mother was in debt. Deep debt. Before she died, she borrowed money from private investors using the company as collateral. If the public finds out, we lose everything." I shook my head. "No, you're lying." He met my eyes. "I forged the will to protect what she built, not to steal it. Tessa helped me. She was just following orders." I wanted to believe him. I wanted to feel pity. But then I noticed something, the date on the letter. It was written after my mother's death certificate. "You forged this too," I whispered. He froze. That was all the confirmation I needed. I turned and walked out before he could say another word. Sleep became impossible. Every sound made me flinch. Every shadow felt like a memory waiting to strike. Logan sat across from me at the motel, laptop open, the blue light flickering on his face. "You think your mother's death wasn't an accident?" He nodded. "That letter was fake. If he lied about that, what else did he cover up?" We searched the archives again. Old hospital records, insurance files, death certificates. And then we found it. A document labeled patient discharge. Margaret Reeves, dated 2 days after the official date of death. "She didn't die when they said she did," I whispered. "He falsified the date." Logan looked pale. "To secure her estate early. That means your father declared her dead before she was legally gone." Felt sick. He killed her legacy to protect his greed. The realization hit me like ice. All the pieces fit now, the will, the fraud, the secrecy. My father wasn't just corrupt. He was heartless. We decided to go public again, this time with everything. But before we could upload the files, the motel door burst open. 2 men in suits. Corporate security. "Kaylee Reeves," one said coldly. "You're under investigation for data theft." Logan stepped in front of me. "You have no warrant." They ignored him and grabbed my laptop. I shouted, "That's my evidence." They smirked. "Not anymore." After they left, I collapsed onto the floor, shaking. Logan knelt beside me. "They're desperate. That means we're close." He was right. They could take my computer, but they couldn't erase the truth. I reached into my pocket and pulled out a small flash drive, the one I'd hidden earlier. "Backup," I whispered. "Always keep a backup." We went to a news station that night, unannounced. The journalist recognized us instantly. When I handed her the flash drive, she said, "Are you sure you want this aired? It'll ruin your family." I looked at her. "It already is." The next morning, every screen in the city seemed to echo my mother's voice. The journalist aired the audio will, and then the forged documents, the fake transfers, the fraud. By noon, the Reeves empire began to crumble. Investors fled. The stock tanked. And for the first time, the public saw Tessa and my father for what they were. Liars built on stolen legacy. Dad called again. This time I didn't answer. But Tessa did show up. My door. Soaked from rain, eyes red, trembling. "Kaylee, please. You've ruined everything. I laughed bitterly. You ruined it the day you decided I was disposable. She stepped closer. I didn't know Dad would take it this far. I just wanted his approval. For a second I saw the sister I grew up with. Scared, human. But pity is a luxury betrayal doesn't deserve. Then tell the truth, I said. On record. Confess, and maybe you'll still have a future. She hesitated, then whispered. He won't let me. That was when sirens filled the street. Police. They had come for them. Tessa looked at me one last time before they cuffed her. I never hated you, Kay. I hated that he loved you more. I turned away. Then you destroyed the wrong person. The boardroom looked exactly as it did the day they threw me out. Same cold marble, same polished wood. But this time I sat at the head of the table. The room was silent as the verdict came through the speakerphone. After review, the rightful ownership of Reeves and Company belongs to Kaylee Reeves. I exhaled slowly. Justice at last. My father resigned before the announcement. Tessa took a plea deal to avoid prison. I didn't celebrate. Not yet. Instead, I visited my mother's grave that evening. The wind was soft, the sky painted in gold. I did it, Mom, I whispered. I cleared your name and mine. For the first time in years, peace didn't feel like a lie. Back at the company, I gathered the employees who stayed. We start over, I said. No secrets, no greed, just truth. And as the sun set behind the glass windows, I realized something. They didn't ruin me. They revealed me. I wasn't the family's mistake. I was its reckoning. Sometimes the people who bury you forget you're a seed. Seedling. If you've ever been betrayed by your own, remember. The truth doesn't need their permission to bloom. Speech balloon, comment your thoughts below. Red heart, like, and bell, subscribe for more cinematic stories like this one.